Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. Cody, how are you on this fine Friday evening?
James, I'm good. You want to know why I'm good? I'm actually fantastic on this Friday. I'm fantastic because it's a fired Friday. Because Matt Canada was fired, James. How are you doing, sir, on this fine Friday evening?
Oh, not bad, man. Not bad. Spent a lot of time with family the last 2 days. You know, the wife's side of the family yesterday, mine today.
Yep.
Got to see my aunt and uncle. Shout out to Ron and Chrissy Brummagem. They bought me this awesome shirt.
I really hope that everyone watching this on YouTube gets that reference because it says haters silence I kill you. And if you don't know what that's from, it is from a comedian and ventriloquist who does stuff. Jeff Dunham is his name. He was a great guy. And that
hilarious,
guy.
Dude.
And what's that name? Ahmed.
Ahmed.
The terrorist.
The dead terrorist.
Yeah. He sings jingle bombs, jingle all the way, whatever it is. I know the words of that. I just can't remember right now. But yeah, so James, we have exciting news on this fine Friday, and that is that the Pittsburgh Steelers actually went ahead and did it. They fired Matt Canada. They said, they relieved. Oh, cheers to that, my boy. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
You have your, I don't know what that is. What is that? We're going to hit the camera.
This here is
this episode.
An amino energy.
Very nice.
Energy drink.
I got the pear cinnamon Red Bull.
Drastically overrated, by the way.
Pear cinnamon? I think it's pretty good. I think it tastes very similar to the last one they had that was pear related.
Yeah, but it was just pear, and I didn't taste the cinnamon at all.
There's very faint cinnamon in that. I'm not gonna lie. It's not strong enough or as strong as I would like it, but it is faint. So yeah, we'll be able to talk about this. Exciting things. Again, we hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving and a good time spent with family, friends, and relatives and all that. You ate some good food. Hopefully you're still eating leftovers because that's the highlight. Am I wrong? It's the day after when you got food. But yeah, so we're going to talk real quick. Steelers fired Matt Canada. What does that mean for the Steelers? What does that mean moving forward? What does that mean for the guys taking over? Because it's technically not one, it's two. And then on top of that, what does it mean for Kenny Pickett? So a lot of talking points here with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about where this is going to go. We talked before that if Matt Canada were to be fired, the rumor out there was that Mike Sullivan would be the one that would likely take over, who is the current quarterbacks coach. Mike Sullivan will be calling the plays on Sundays, but the interim offensive coordinator is running backs coach Eddie Faulkner, which I'm very excited about, honestly, because he's done an excellent job in the running back room. His tutelage, you've seen the natural progression of people. You've seen Jaylen Warren go from a undrafted rookie free agent who had problems fumbling the ball to what he is right now. And we're going to go into his accolades after we talk Matt Canada. But he's getting some pretty serious accolades right now, and deservedly so.
Yep.
So I think this is great because Eddie Faulkner is going to get the responsibility of Monday through Saturday breaking down the film, coming up with a game plan, installing the offensive plays that will be used that week, and getting a game plan together. And then the more experienced play caller, which is Mike Sullivan, the quarterback's coach, who once again we talked about, he has a resume as an offensive coordinator with two different teams in the NFL. Has not had a lot of success doing so, but I can't imagine he's going to be any worse at it than Matt Canada. Also, Eddie Faulkner has experience in the college ranks as an offensive coordinator, and at one point in time was an interim head coach for a college whose head coach got fired mid-season. So he's got experience with play calling, and he has experience with being a head coach. So I love it. I think Eddie Faulkner might be the long-term solution for Pittsburgh, but we're going to see how this goes, and I imagine it's going to go better than it has been going.
Well, I mean, that's all we can ask for at this point. It's just if it can be better. And the players were very distraught at the end of the last game. I don't want to say distraught. They were down. They were
stressed, man.
They were beat down. They were depressed almost. Listening to Kenny's interview, listening to Najee's. I finally got the chance to listen to Najee's and watch his interview. and he just was not having it. He's like, they asked him about
Yeah.
the team, and he's like, I don't want to answer questions about anybody else. Ask about me. And
Yeah.
which
And they had
was,
asked him previously about if he thought everybody on the team was a team first player, and he said
yep,
no.
that was the
That's
question that I
very.
thought he said. Don't ask questions about other people. Ask questions about me.
He ended up deflecting. Yeah, but
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
gonna be interesting to see how the team rallies from this and how they, I gotta imagine there's a lot of energy in that locker room and on the practice field just to be excited that the team did something. So
And moved on from a guy that it seemed like was just not a popular person in the locker room. And I get it, if the play calls over and over putting you in a situation where it's extremely difficult to win, and then you're getting beat up in the position room all week long about why aren't you doing better, and you feel that a large portion of why you're not doing better on the field is because play calls are putting you in a position that makes it extremely difficult to win, well then you're not going to be a big fan of that guy. That's just the way that works.
yeah,
So
I'm really curious how those meetings went and how those, like, when they're watching film. Like, what do you say to Najee, like, when he gets beat or when he gets tackled in the backfield, like he gets hit before he gets the ball handed to him, basically? What do you say?
yeah,
Like, oh man, you got to push that guy off you. No.
you can't.
And what do you even
It's
say?
got to be blocked better.
It's got to be blocked better. I almost think it needs to be schemed better. We talked about that a
Yeah.
lot with that kind of the difference between Jalen Warren and Najee. But again, I don't want to go too far into this because there's a lot more to talk about as we prepare for this Bengals game upcoming. And quite frankly, I'm ready to just move on from the Matt Canada era and
Mm-hmm.
look to brighter days and greener pastures. But man, I'm hoping that it turns out better because there's, heaven forbid, hope this doesn't happen, knock on wood, there's a chance this is just as bad. There's a chance, very slight chance, this is worse. So I'm hopeful to see what they can do moving forward. I think that new coaches are going to be very open to the players' involvement in play calling and stuff like that because the players have been like, hey, these haven't been working because of this, this, and this. And at least I'm hoping the players are smart enough to say why the things aren't working. So we'll see moving forward. The offensive line is fairly young. The skills positions all around are incredibly young. So I'm hopeful to see this have an improvement, even if it's just, hey, go play backyard football like Big Ben used to do. Which I don't see that
Yeah.
happening, but I would enjoy seeing that again. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So we're in wrapping that up, basically, we're excited about it. We're optimistic about it. And I think the players are going to be really excited about it too. So another thing to be excited about in this upcoming week is the Steelers made yet another transaction. We told you after last week's game about how Pittsburgh went out and signed Miles Jack to their practice squad. Sounds like they're going to try to work with him and see what kind of shape he's in, see if they can get him in game day shape. He hasn't been playing this year.
Yeah,
so
he was retired.
who knows? Yeah, he was officially retired. They went ahead and signed Blake Martinez off the practice squad from the Carolina Panthers, and Blake has a lot of starting experience in the NFL. And between him and Miles Jack, I read that there is 1,300 career total tackles between these two guys.
Dang.
And he's got experience as a team captain also during his tenure with the New York Giants.
Yeah.
So Blake's been around the block, and I'm excited about him. And I think that he honestly has a chance of playing a ton in this upcoming game because I think that it's pretty transparent that they didn't feel like they got enough out of Michael Walker in that game. And I would agree. If you play an entire game as a middle linebacker and you only get 2 assists, it's just not enough.
Yeah.
So I think, this is bare minimum a guy that'll get you those 4 or 5 tackles and be where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, and James, you even mentioned this before the show. Blake Martinez had the option to go to the Panthers 53-man roster or sign with Pittsburgh because they were trying to bring him up. Now, I don't know if that was a reaction move from us attempting to sign him off there.
It's quite possible.
So either way, he probably, just like you said before the show when we were talking, he probably sees that this is a better chance for him to have a potential starting position again on an NFL team. And it's not going to be a short-term thing. I mean, at bare minimum, the rest of this year, if you win that starting job, barring another injury.
Yep.
So Blake Martinez has a great shot here. I almost don't expect Miles Jack to have anything with us. I just felt that it was such a bad experience when he was here, in my opinion, with
Mm.
him being beat all the time, or the majority of the time, to the point where he retired after playing with us, right? He didn't go sign anywhere else, if I'm not
No,
mistaken. Or did
no,
he?
he went to the Eagles.
Well, didn't he
Yeah,
retire like mid-season or something?
no, it was like after the preseason.
Okay, so yeah, okay,
Yeah, so he tried out for the team. It didn't work out. It was clear he wasn't going to make it, and they moved on. Now, to me, the Miles Jack experience was going well until he suffered a groin injury,
mm-hmm.
and then he just couldn't move out there. He couldn't change direction. He couldn't cover people, and it was very obvious. He was doing his best to play out there, but he just didn't have it. And a middle linebacker, if you're playing with a groin injury, forget about it. You're just going to get juked up all day long. And that's exactly what was happening to him. So I think that maybe a fully healthy Miles Jack should be able to move better than what he was moving for what we saw in the second half of the season, maybe even longer than that in his most recent stint with us. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to rush it, though. I think they're going to run with what they've got. I think that they're okay with Mark Robinson on special teams. He makes a lot of plays there.
Yeah.
Blake Martinez should be able to contribute on special teams as well. And I think you put Blake out there in passing situations and maybe use Michael Walker in running situations, kind of like what they were doing with Landon Roberts and Quan Alexander, where Quan was more of the passing down guy and Landon was more of the run down guy. I think they might kind of go that rotation. Still disappointed that Mark Robinson's not going to get a chance.
Yeah,
But there's got to be more to that story than we realize, because they're just signing guys off the street over and over and over and playing them over Mark Robinson. So,
which it just doesn't make sense. Why have the guy on the team if you're going to put other people? Unless it's strictly
I think
special teams. Unless it's
it's a
strictly
long-term project. I think that they look at it and they say, "Hey, this kid got to play middle linebacker for 10 games in college. All of his college career previous to that, he was running back. In high school, he was running back. Like, he doesn't really know the position yet." So I think they're trying to bring him along as slow as possible with the intent of not ruining him, because if you throw him out there and he gets overwhelmed, he may never develop.
Yeah.
And if you do it with a guy that's got such a huge learning curve, because he is trying to learn so much. Like, I saw a clip today of a middle linebacker drill where they're hitting a blocking sled. And after Mark did his rep, the coach came back through and corrected his hand placement on where he was hitting the sled, had him do it again. He did it again. And he said, "All right, now you're playing linebacker." And that just goes to the mentality of there are so many little details that he needs to be coached up on to be technically and fundamentally sound as a middle linebacker, that he's just still learning. And I think it's purely that they see potential in him and don't want to ruin it by just throwing him into the fire.
Fair. And with that being said, do you want to know who we do see potential in and has been pretty much thrown into the fire? None other than our own Jaylen Warren, man.
Woo!
I don't even know where to start.
Man.
He's winning awards left and right.
Let's talk about the first award, which is the FedEx Ground Player of the Week. So he did take that home for his performance last week against the Cleveland Browns. What was it, 9 carries for 112 yards or 120 yards or something crazy like that, and a touchdown, a 72-yard touchdown run. Just had an incredible performance against the Browns. He also won the Angry Run of the Week award. So he got that trophy. And by the way, I don't have this written down, but I just recently heard this on another podcast, so I'm going to relay it. Our kind folks over at Steelers Depot supplied this gem. He is leading the NFL in the last 3 weeks in yards rushing, with over 300 yards rushing combined in those 3 games.
Dang.
Number 1 running back in the NFL.
Wild.
And he only got 9 carries last week.
Yeah, and it's not like he carries the workload anyways.
No, he doesn't get a lot of carries. I don't think he's ever hit 15 in a week. It's like 10 to 12 carries is pretty much his max every week.
Yeah.
And he's leading the NFL with that.
He's only, what did I say, 6 yards behind Najee. Najee has 499 yards rushing. Yes. He has 493.
Yep.
So.
And it's like 80 carries versus 122 carries.
128. 128.
There you go. There you go.
I remember that. I remember the breakdown.
Yeah,
Um,
crazy, absolutely crazy. But exciting to see Jalen really starting to pop. We speculated at the beginning of the year that there's a potential with what we had seen previously from last year with Jalen Warren for him to surpass Najee Harris.
Yep.
And I even went as far as speculating that they probably will not pick up the 5th-year option on Najee if Jalen continues to ascend. I think that's exactly what's happening now because I think by next season, there's not going to be much of an argument to be had. Jalen's going to be the clear number one running back on the team, and at which point you don't pick up a 5th-year option on a backup running back.
So even if this, fire Matt Canada, get different offensive guy in there, and Najee has more success running now.
I mean, I kind of expect him to continue an upwards trend and have more success as he's been having for the most part the last few weeks as the season's gone along. Just like last year, the season went along. He got better as the season went on.
Yep.
Kind of wears down his opponents. He's a bruiser of a running back. But in the end, he's never going to be the guy that breaks off a 72-yard touchdown run.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, if you go back and look at that touchdown run, it shouldn't have happened. The safety made a horrible read on the play and bad angle. But still,
But George Pickens is downfield blocking too, and it takes
true.
wide receivers blocking.
That's
You know,
true.
on that play, I didn't even get a chance to say this in the Monday recap show, but Mason Cole was like 30 yards downfield throwing a block, like showing extreme hustle. And boy, the guy really tries. You know, I hate that I talk as much trash on him as I do because he really struggles in pass protection sometimes. But
Mhm.
on that particular play, he was hustling his butt off like 30 yards downfield, sealing somebody so they couldn't get Jalen Warren. And it was an amazing job by him.
The nasty we've been looking for, James. The nasty we've
Yeah.
been looking for. So yeah, we're excited to see what happens with Jalen. Feel free to comment on the video on YouTube or message us directly on social media. Let us know what you think about the Jalen Warren Najee Harris battle. If you think they should go with Jalen, if you think they should pick up the 5th-year option, we'd love to talk about it. Talk about your opinions on the show. With that being said, we are going to transition into looking towards the Bengals. We're going to talk about the injury report first before we break down the Bengals roster, and then also go over our 3 keys to success in winning this week against the Bengals. James, you want to talk injuries first?
Yeah. Let me pick up with the Steelers. So George Pickens showed up on the injury report this week with a shin injury. Didn't participate Wednesday, was limited Thursday, full on Friday. He will go. Patrick Peterson got some days off, non-injury related. Same with Levi Wallace. Minka Fitzpatrick with that hamstring, unable to practice all week long, not even limited. He'll be out. James Pierre has a shoulder injury, was limited all week other than yesterday, or today, I should say, on Friday, where he did not participate at all. They're listing him as questionable. I'm hearing he's a likely to play. Nick Herbig, the backup outside linebacker with a hamstring issue, limited both Wednesday and Thursday, full on Friday. Expect him to be ready to go. Montravius Adams with that ankle injury, limited all week long and officially out. So he will not be starting once again. Starting left guard Isaac Siamalu got a couple days off for rest. Same with Cam Hayward. They're calling it rest/groin. This is just what it's been since he's come back. They haven't forced him into full participation in practice all week. They're trying to rest it enough during the week so that he can get back to 100%. I have a feeling that the groin will not heal all the way this season.
Yeah, it's not looking like it, and especially with how hard he plays and the position
that he plays.
The position he plays is gonna just completely wreck
People are
that.
pushing you from all directions on every play, so you have to use your groin.
Yep. Time to look at the Bengals injuries. We have a lot listed here, my friend. A lot. Only one is non-injury related. It was an illness to the defensive end, DJ Reader. He is expected to play. Quarterback Joe Burrow with a right wrist injury is already listed as out. We already knew that going forward. He's out for the season at this point, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Correct.
Did he have to get surgery on that? Yeah. So T. Higgins, wide receiver, is also listed as out with a hamstring injury. That's huge.
That's enormous for us.
So is Cam Taylor-Britt, cornerback, out with a quad injury. Already listed as out. And then you have 2 questionable guys here. You have Chase Brown, a running back with a hamstring injury, fully participated all week long, but still listed as questionable. And Jermaine Pratt, linebacker, out with an illness listed as questionable. Didn't participate most of the week, or excuse me, maybe he got ill. It appears he got ill either Thursday or Friday, and didn't participate Friday. So we'll see what happens there. And then another player who's doubtful is Dante Smith, the offensive tackle with a knee injury, is doubtful to play. Then you have a handful of other guys listed here. You have Akeem Davis Gaither, linebacker with a knee injury, limited most of the week, full today. BJ Hill, defensive tackle with a knee injury, limited participation most of the week, full practice today. Sam Hubbard, another defensive end for them, listed with an ankle injury, limited most of the week, but full practice today. Andre Iosevis, there we go, wide receiver with a knee injury, limited early in the week, full participation the second half of the week. And then you have Trenton Irwin, wide receiver with a hip injury, Cameron Sample, a defensive end with a knee injury, and Jonah Williams, the other offensive tackle with a shoulder injury, all fully participated all week, but all are just listed on that injury report. More than likely expect all of them to play.
That's a lot, man.
That's a lot. That's a lot of big names on their team too. Obviously, when you look right off the bat with Joe Burrow, Jake Browning going to be getting the start here. So hopefully get some sacks, get some pressures, get some interceptions, and get a win against the gosh darn Bengals.
Yeah, and honestly, one of the biggest ones to T. Higgins, because T. Higgins and Jamar Chase puts you in a situation of who do you focus on. With T. Higgins out, you don't have that second blazer. I mean, Tyler Boyd is one of the other starting wide receivers listed for them. We're going to get into their depth chart now as we're transitioning here. But Jamar Chase, obviously a monster with T. Higgins out. Tyler Boyd is probably going to take over that number 2 position. Trenton Irwin gets a lot of playing time for them. And then Andre Iosevis, the backup to him. Charlie Jones, the other wide receiver on the squad. It's a very banged up wide receiver core. So the only guys that seem to be 100% healthy are Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and Charlie Jones. The rest of them seem to be trying to play through an injury or going to miss due to injury. It sounds like Joey Porter Jr. is hoping to be locked up one-on-one on Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
So if that happens, I like it. It gives you a better opportunity. Tyler Boyd, not the speed demon that T. Higgins is. Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace might be able to hang with him.
Yeah.
So I think that's a favorable matchup there.
Name to watch out for is that Andre Iosevis, though. He has 4 receptions on the year, 2 of them going for touchdowns.
Yeah. And I want to say that Charlie Jones is a rookie wide receiver, I think. Maybe he was even the Purdue kid. I want to say he was a track dude, and he was real fast.
He is a rookie wide receiver from Purdue with 1 catch on the year for 6 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think he's been used at all yet, but he might get a little burn this week, and I believe he was real fast. Yeah. I believe. So might be something to look out for there. Quarterback Jake Browning. We all know Jake Browning. No one really knows Jake Browning. Very little experience in the NFL right now. Started last week and played half of the week before. So very little tape out there on Jake Browning. I would expect this to be a similar approach as to what Cleveland had last week, with lots of short slants, outs, hooks, stuff that doesn't go more than 10 yards, and the ball to be being released very quickly every play.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon, the starting running back, with Travion Williams and Chris Evans backing him up. So running back group kind of deep and seemingly healthy as well. Tight end room, Irv Smith Jr., the starter, with Drew Sample backing him up. So some talent there. On the offensive line, we've got Orlando Brown Jr., tackle. Left guard, Cordell Volson. The center, Ted Karras. Right guard, Alex Kappa. And right offensive tackle, Jonah Williams. Yes, Jonah Williams, that was originally tackle. Kind of stunk the joint up, then went out and got Orlando Brown Jr., and then he said, I'm not playing right tackle, and well, now he's playing right tackle. So if he's one-on-one with TJ, this is absolutely a matchup that TJ can dominate.
Yeah. And to go back real quick, just to touch base, Charlie Jones, 4.43 340 at the combine.
That's fast.
That is fast. Taking a leap over to the defensive side of the ball for the Bengals. They run a 4-3 defense, so their two defensive ends are Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson. Again, Sam Hubbard is listed on that injury report with an ankle injury, so be curious to see what happens there. They also have DJ Reader listed as an injury, DJ Reader being their nose tackle, and BJ Hill being the other defensive tackle in that 4-3 front. Linebackers on this team are very good. Logan Wilson has actually been almost directly responsible for taking out the Ravens this year. He was the one that injured Odell Beckham Jr. He was the one that injured Lamar Jackson. He's just been tackling guys and rolling up on their ankles consistently, and he's a big hitter linebacker for sure. Jermaine Pratt, another linebacker listed on that injury list for them. Akeem Davis Gaither listed as a backup there, but he oftentimes gets a starting role, or at least a starting role depending on their formation. And then you have the secondary room. Very familiar name here, Mike Hilton, the nickel cornerback. Mike Hilton being the former Pittsburgh Steeler, who honestly I wish we could have kept. Didn't happen. He went to Cincinnati and has been tormenting us with blitzes ever since. I believe he even had a pick last year, if I'm not mistaken, or last game. Maybe.
I think he did, yeah.
It was one of the two.
Yeah.
Cam Taylor-Britt, the cornerback who is on the injury list. If I'm not mistaken, he's listed as out. He is, so he will not be playing. DJ Ivy backing him up. DJ Ivy is, I believe, a rookie. Yep, 6'1", 192 from Miami. No stats listed on the year yet. There's a chance he gets the start here. Chidobe Awuzie, the other starting corner, very capable corner. He had a short time with Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong?
He's been somewhere else, I believe. So you might be right. It might be Dallas.
Yeah. And then their safety room is still very, very capable. Nick Scott, safety, Dax Hill, Jordan Battle being a guy that we talked about coming out of the draft that we wanted Pittsburgh to kind of take a look at from last year's draft. Didn't happen. That's okay. But their safeties are very good. Dax Hill being the best of the two. Who did they lose again? Who was the safety they lost?
They lost both of them. Both starters left.
Bell and
the other one was the guy that got all the interceptions. I think he went to the Saints.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I forget his name, but it's a pretty big downgrade from those two. Yep. Dax Hill's got a nice resume as far as a high draft pick out of Michigan. Dax was the guy, if you remember George Pickens' rookie year, there was highlight of him taking a Michigan defender in that Michigan versus Georgia game and basically just tossing him while blocking him, just shoving him, and he went flying backwards. That was Dax Hill. Dax Hill is like a 192-pound safety, so not a big guy by any means, and definitely somebody that George Pickens would be looking forward to playing against again. On top of that, the edge rushers here, Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson, have a habit of being pretty good. They also have a habit of really kind of tormenting the Steelers' offensive tackles. Yeah. So very important that we get some better pass blocking out of those gentlemen in this week here, with Broderick Jones continuing to start on the right side, Dan Moore continuing to start on the left side. Got to see better out of Dan Moore, or it'll be a long day for Kenny once again.
Yeah. Special teams, punter Brad Robbins, kicker Evan McPherson, long snapper Cal Admodulus? Sure. The holders, the punter, per usual, Brad Robbins. Punt returners, Charlie Jones. No shocker there. The speedy guy running the 4-4-3. And then Travion Williams is their kick returner. I believe he has a pretty big kick return this year, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm wrong. He only has 59.
Must have been in your Madden franchise.
No, stop. No, it's not listed here. He could. It doesn't have his kick return stats listed here. But again, special teams can make or break you, especially in some of these divisional games. So be on the lookout for those guys getting big returns, or hopefully forcing some turnovers for Pittsburgh running against them and the coverage teams. So,
yeah, I mean, that was devastating for Pittsburgh last week versus the Browns. Mm-hmm. The last two possessions were the worst two punts of the entire day for Presley Harvin the third, with one of them only being like 21 yards.
Yeah.
So, yeah, got to be able to flip the field when you do punt the ball. And if your return man's dangerous, that is definitely an edge. So let's move on to the 3 keys to success, Cody.
Let's do it.
I can go first if you're all right with it.
I mean, you can go first. That's fine. One of mine is not win the turnover battle this week. So
Yeah, since we lost it last weekend, lost the game.
yeah, not going to talk about it.
Or I should say we won the turnover battle last week, but lost the
Yes,
game.
sorry.
Yeah. My first key to success this week against the Cincinnati Bengals is 3 offensive touchdowns. That doesn't really sound like a big request, but for this season, it has been a big request to get 3 offensive touchdowns.
That hasn't
I think
happened
they've
once,
only done
correct?
it.
No, they have.
I
done
think it
once.
happened one time,
And it was with
and they
2
were all
rushing
rushing
touchdowns.
touchdowns.
I thought it was with 2 and 1 passing.
It might have been 1 passing. I know both the running backs got one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think if you can get 3 touchdowns against the Cincinnati Bengals, 21 points would be enough to beat them. So that's why I'm calling for 3 offensive touchdowns. Let's not rely on the defense to do it for us. Let's get this offense rolling. Number 2 key, defensive line, put your hands up and deflect the pass. I believe that Jake Browning's attack this week will be very similar to what we saw from Dorian Thompson-Robinson last week from the Cleveland Browns, which is throw the ball and get it out in 2 seconds or less anytime you're throwing the ball. Very quick passes. Look for lots of short slants, lots of quick outs, lots of hook patterns, lots of wide receiver and running back screens. They're not going to have him sit back there and camp out and just let our pass rushers get after him. The ball's coming out quick, and if it's coming out quick, your best weapon against it is getting your hands up at the front. So very important that those men up front do that for us this week. Third and final key to success, I want to see both middle linebackers contribute. And if there's a 3-man rotation, then assume all 3 of them. I don't want to see this week be 14 tackles for Landon Roberts and then the other guy only get 2 assists and not get anything else. No tackles, no forced fumbles, no deflected passes, no interceptions, nothing. Can't have that again. We've got to have a better balance between the middle linebackers with both of them that are on the field at the same time contributing. If it's a rotation of 3, I want to see all of them getting at least 3 to 5 tackles.
Fair. I love those 3 keys to success, especially the middle linebackers getting involved and those hands up and up front in the front on the defensive front side.
Drove me nuts last week, bro.
It was rough.
It drove me nuts.
It was rough.
Not a single deflection.
Mine are going to be very similar to your first one in the sense that they're very specific keys to success. Key to success number 1, have an average drive time of at least 3 minutes. Too many of our drives are ending in 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes because of attempting to throw the ball in these stupid, flat zones where they're getting dropped or Deontay's dropping balls down the field or whatever. Have sustained drives, average over 3 minutes, sustained drive. That's not even a sustained drive, quite frankly. It's really honestly 5 minutes or more, but I just want to see that improvement. Number 2, Kenny Pickett have 0 interceptions again. Control the turnover battle. I'm not saying win the turnover battle. That's not my goal. 0 interceptions for Kenny Pickett. I want to see that continue. I do want to see the touchdown passes, but in a divisional game like this,
don't turn it over.
Don't turn it over. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I want 4 sacks from the defensive side of the ball. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if it's Shandon Sullivan coming on a corner blitz. I don't care if I don't care if it's Minka Fitzpatrick coming from the sidelines because he's hurt. I don't care where they come from. Just come get the sacks. I would love to see TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, Keanu Benton, and Alex Highsmith all get one. Throw a little Cam in there. Maybe he gets a half sack. I don't know. But 4 sacks on this rookie quarterback and get him riled up, get the pressures, get the hits to the quarterback, and for an extra goal, have no roughing the passer penalties.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. But those are my 3 keys to success. Make sure you guys share yours with us online. We'll be happy to talk about them as long as they were posted before the game. And we're just excited for this game. Excited for the things after post-Canada. And haters, as you see it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, silence.
I kill you.
With that being said, this is going to wrap up this show. We can't thank you guys enough for watching or listening. And be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe and ring the bell. It's free. James is going to go enjoy some Penn State football. I'm going to go enjoy some high school Princeton football down here in West Virginia. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.